Hello everyone, my name is Denise and today I'll be talking on the topic Imago relationship. So I'm going to share the screen right now. Okay, so the presentation is entitled The Imago Relationship, the Convergence of Two Matching Wounds. So first, let's go to the definition of an imago relationship. It comes from the word imago, which means image, which means unconscious image of familiar love. I got that from the website Havel and Helen. So they offer this thing called imago relationship therapy. But it is not actually exclusive to this modality per se. It is also in other modalities, which I will talk about. So some characteristics of an imago relationships are deep infatuation, love at first sight, a possible plummeting from infatuation all the way to despair. And I love you, I hate you at the same time. It's a very strong love and hate relationship and a very magnetic attraction, very hard to separate once it's being formed. So as I've mentioned, there are different ways that we can name it. Sorry to use the word nomenclature. It's a very science word, but that was my original training in science. So sometimes that comes into my my lexicon as well. So I apologize for that. But what I'm trying to say is that imago is one way to say it. The other way is script partner if you are in transaction analysis, or schema chemistry if your key modality is schema therapy. So this is a really sweet picture, two fingers of a heart shape in the middle, but it's actually not so beautiful. In fact, it's quite a dysfunctional thing. What I'm trying to show is that they are not complete. They feel complete only when they're together. So that's a disaster, because as most psychotherapists know, in order to be in a happy relationship, both have to be complete on their own and not rely on the other partner to be complete. Okay, so if you're in this kind of like you complete me kind of relationship, then it is an unhealthy codependent relationship. Okay, so I'm going to share the story of The Witcher. In this case, Witcher Season 2, Episode 1, one of my favorite episodes of Witcher. Okay, I tell you, my criticism of Witcher is that the language isn't very beautiful. I mean, you compare it to Rings of Power, which is the latest Lord of the Rings series. Of course, it's nowhere near that in terms of beauty of language and execution and all that. With that said, Witcher has its own strengths, like the mythology and the archetypes inside. Those are really good, so I watched for that. Okay, so in this particular Witcher Season 2, Episode 1, Geralt has finally got reunited to his daughter Ciri, which is his you could say adoptive daughter, which is his daughter that he won as a I think they call it a child surprise, his rightful daughter, linked to him by fate, a child surprise via two separate routes. It's just they're like meant to be together. Okay, so it's this young girl, maybe 15, 16. So he is a witcher. His expertise is to kill monsters. He's being paid by people to kill monsters. So Witcher Season 2, Episode 1, they venture to this beautiful place with a beautiful castle, and they bump into this guy called Nivellen, who is Geralt's longtime good friend. Except now he's under a curse, so he looks like a half boar and half man. So if you find that he looks familiar, that's because most likely he reminds you of the beast in Beauty and the Beast. It's okay. So he's a person who's being cursed, very similar to the beast in the Beauty and the Beast archetype. They are both cursed, okay, for offending a witch. So there's a third character called Verena. So here she's on the ceiling. She's still beautiful, but she's got really dark black pupils. She's a Bruxa, so she's a monster, like a vampire. Scandinavian vampire, something like that, Bruxa, okay? So Neverland and Verena is the classic imago relationship. I'm going to tell you more. And they form such a good, what's that word? A good archetypal match to explain the imago relationship, that when I was trying to think of a story, right, it was their story that came to mind. And not only that, it is a very clear narcissistic abuse kind of imago script. So let's just dive into it to enjoy it more, okay? So, okay, wait, I'm just going to go back to the previous slide. So it happens that Geralt and Ciri, they stumble upon this beautiful castle. There are no servants, but Nivellen, he has magic powers, so it's almost like going into Beauty and the Beast castle. can give Syria a nice bath, provide her a beautiful white dress and all that. Everything seems fine and dandy, except he seems to be hiding a secret. And from Geralt, and Geralt has like this spidey senses. He sort of sensed that something is not going right. So at night, when Ciri is falling asleep in the castle, she's greeted by this Verena, who's a Bruxa. So Verena came to her and talked to her. They had a good talk. You know, it's a bit creepy, but she didn't try to hurt her at that point yet. It was only later on that they started fighting, okay? So anyway, this Verena just spoke to Ciri and said, I'm the one who gave you the white dress. There's Geralt starting to have suspicion. So at night he went around to look, and he found that Verena was sucking the blood from Nivellen. Then I said, what is going on? Okay, so I'm going to tell you what's going on now, okay? So Nivellen is Geralt's long-time friend. And I think he belonged to, he's the son of a very rich or very powerful man. But he struggled to get approval from his father, only conditional love, only when he did great things. As a result, he suffered from schemas like emotional deprivation, failure, defectiveness, social isolation. So in his youth, he committed a grave sin. He went into a temple and raped the priestess. And she cursed him to be a half man and half boar. That's one curse. The second curse is that he will never die. Okay, so now he's like, you know, some people, they want to live forever. So he has get that, but for him, it is a curse. Because now he's to live forever, but alone, forever alone. So it was at this point that the Bruxa came into his life. This beautiful girl, or at least she appears to be very beautiful, but she's a monster. And what she needs is to drink blood to survive. And she's willing to lie to Nivellen to convince him that she loves him, to continue to drink his blood. So she's not really concerned about Nivellen per se, but she needs to use him to survive, right? So she has archetypal narcissistic traits, lah. Yeah, so she's like preying on him to survive. And not only that, she also started to prey on the townsfolk. So it made Nivellen even more isolated, because all the people living around him in all the towns, they were all escaping because she was transforming into a bat, flying there and sucking their blood and killing their kids and their livestock. So they all moved away, making Nivellen even more and more isolated, which is actually a characteristic of a narcissistic relationship, this social isolation, impounding it. So you could say that they are the perfect Imago match. You know, Nivellen has a need. He needs to be loved. And even if it's fake love, arguably because it is fake love, is very familiar. So it is what he needs is to be loved, and also to be punished for his sins. He feels guilty for raping the priestess, and also to self-sacrifice. Maybe in this case, not to puff up his ego, but to atone for his sins. So for the Bruxa, her need is to drink blood to survive, to keep consuming without regard of another person's needs or mortality, which is great because he will never die. So she can literally suck him dry every single night, and next day you come back alive. So unlimited supply. They form the perfect Imago match. So that's why I put the yin yang sign here, right? Like in Chinese, like 一个愿打，一个愿挨. One wants to be beaten, one wants to beat. So they form the perfect Imago match. You could say it's a familiar love, because this conditional love reminds him of the love that his dad gave, and his daily sacrifice and people pleasing, in this case Bruxa pleasing, you know, by offering his blood. It's very familiar. And then she also has a need, right, to constantly exploit, and she's never satisfied. Even though there's this endless supply of blood every single day and that never perishes, she still needs to get supply outside, which is again another trait, narcissistic trait, that the guy or the girl who had to constantly cheat outside the relationship. And towards the end, you know, he really had to turn a blind eye because he knew that she wasn't good and the love wasn't real, and then it's probably a very bad match, but he decided to turn a blind eye, started to lie to even people like Geralt, his longtime friend, turn a blind eye to what she's doing to all the townsfolk, because he didn't want to let go of her. The connection is too strong. As a result, he was stuck in the curse. He could never break free. However, he still had loyalty towards Geralt and also Geralt's daughter. So when Geralt tried to kill the Bruxa, Verena, and the Brookster tried to kill him and Siri. He decided that enough is enough. I really have to put an end to it. So together with his help and so-called consent, they killed Verena. At once his curse was broken, you see, he went back to human form, but then he was utterly heartbroken still. So some key learnings from this story is that we have to be very cautious, especially when there's very strong, intense initial attraction. And also we have a choice to cut at any point. We can cut this relationship at any point. But even after we cut it or we make a decision to grow out of it, recovery takes time. Like remember, after his curse was broken, but he was still on the floor, totally heartbroken that he's lost his script partner, his Imago match. So that's what we can expect also if we are going to break free from our own Imago relationships. Okay, healing an Imago relationship, if you don't want to break up, that's fine. But then you have to heal. Both ends have to heal. Firstly, the most important thing is to have self-compassion. It's not your fault. A lot of the thing is childhood memories, early childhood memories, childhood trauma, our parenting, the parenting that we received. So it's not your fault up to this point, but beyond this point, if you still choose to turn a blind eye to your own scripting and continue walking this path, it is your choice. But if you didn't know and only after watching this video you knew, then up to this point it's not your fault because you're not aware. And also a note to self, your partner, which is your Imago match, right, is going to be extremely sensitive to your needs. So even if there is a hint of your need, like to protect someone, right, they may start to become very soft and put themselves in precarious positions so that you can protect them, so that you can meet your need to provide the protection, and then they can meet their need of being protected, and hence perpetuate this. So you need to be very sensitive of your own the message, the subconscious messages they are sending out. The ultimate aim is to be complete yourself. And if you have needs, right, you got to really examine it. Like, why do you have such a strong need to protect people? Some people are meeting this need vicariously, like they want to be protected, but no one offered them protection as they're growing up. So now they protect other people to meet their need vicariously. So it becomes quite warped. But if you can really say, you can express your needs clearly to your partner, like, what I need is your protection. Actually, I don't like to protect people. I just want you to protect me. Then you can finally get that need met in a more direct way. Got it? And okay, I put martyrdom there. So if you need to self-sacrifice, then your partner might be very sensitive also, and then start to generate scenarios where you can self-sacrifice. So that's not so healthy too. So as long as we are mindful about that, we can slowly adjust our behaviors and try to meet all these needs also in more healthy ways. So in conclusion, if you're in an Imago relationship, do not panic. Most people are in one, I suppose. It is good that you're aware of it now. So what to do is to strive towards healing your childhood wounds, and also to be able to articulate your needs very clearly. What are those needs? And then meeting those needs in a more direct, healthy way instead of playing games with your partner. And seek therapy if necessary. Okay, so that's the end of the video today. I know I didn't really go into so much detail about what to do if you are caught in an Imago relationship. I suppose I could do a follow-up video. So if you like this video, kindly press like, share, and subscribe. Okay, I'm saying that I'm fully aware that this could be an Imago thing going on here. I got a need to be liked, need to get approval by receiving your like. And maybe you have a need to like me, to support me. So if that's the case, then don't like. But if you just feel like, just whatever, just like, then let's just go ahead. Let's just not think about it too seriously here. Okay, thank you so much, and God bless.